You mentioned the green card and, quote, all that implies. Is there a question mark about his patriotism?
Well, I can't see into his heart. I don't know him personally, but what I do know is that green card status is saying, well, I intend to make my home in America. There may be times that I'm out of the country, but that will be for a time limited period. And that to me seems quite strange. If you're the Chancellor, if you're a member of Parliament, that to me says your full commitment is to serving your constituents and trying to make Parliament the best place that it possibly can be. I think those two things are in tension. Clearly, he does too, because he ceased that arrangement, as you say, in October of last year. But I think again, I'd like to know the answer to why, for so many years, he thought that was the right thing to do. And again, is this the case for anybody else in the cabinet? I think it's legitimate that, especially given the burdens people are under, we find out if we are really all in this together or not.
I know Labour's been asking questions today about this idea of his assets being in a blind trust. When he became, I think, Chief Secretary to the Treasury, he put his investments into a blind trust so that there can be no conflict of interest about decisions he was part of at the Treasury that might then affect those investments. That seems the proper way of going about things. It's hard to think of another way of going about things unless you said to highly successful, highly wealthy people, you've got no place in British politics. I mean, in a sense, if you're going to have somebody at the Treasury who understands financial markets, you want them to have been successful. You want them to be sufficiently wealthy to require a blind trust. It's going to give them an understanding based on success of how finance, commerce and investments work.
Yeah, I think Parliament's at its best when it reflects the British people, and as you say, has very talented, very successful people. But you'd want to think that they want that their priority would be on whether prior to Parliament growing their business and paying taxes accordingly, or whether the interest is trying to get as much of their interests offshored, perhaps in tax havens, to pay as little as possible, because that's revealing about character. As you say, he put that into a blind trust. That seems wise. I mean, a lot of this, as it will be to listeners, is a long way away from my frame of reference in life. It just simply isn't likely to be something that I'm concerned about. But it is reasonable that we know, on individuals with significant earnings who hold public office, who put up taxes on the British people, that they pay their tax in this country. I think that's pretty reasonable to know. And all we're asking, and indeed all he has asked himself, so he clearly thinks it's a legitimate question, is that we establish the facts in this case. And I think that's what needs to happen.